Welcome back to this already the final segment of today's Price of Business. I hope you're getting prepared for a great weekend. I'm getting prepared by finishing it up with an interview that I've been trying to do for quite some time, but our schedules have not been permitting it. But delighted to have on the program Bob Marsh. He's with Level 11. That's level11.com. It's exactly like it sounds. Really interesting company, really helping companies use and leverage Salesforce.com, which is something I talked about a lot on this program, to motivate their employees in a way they really want to. And Bob, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Kevin. Great to be here.
Kind of tell us your story. Tell us a little bit about your background and the background of Level 11.
Yeah, sure. So my background's all in sales and sales management. I spent the last 20 years doing that. Level 11 came about because when I was at my last company, I had the responsibility of implementing Salesforce for our 120-plus person sales organization. And so the whole idea is, when people buy a CRM system like Salesforce, you're buying into this idea, if I can measure what's happening in the sales organization, I can motivate it. So what I found is after I put that system in place, I realized, well, gosh, this is awesome. I have all this data. I can understand what's happening inside the sales organization, but, I want some of these things to happen more often. So how do I motivate people? And so I just started looking around the ecosystem, and I said, I cannot believe it. There's nothing out there like that. Take the classic sales contest, and there's no software to do that. How do I motivate people? So anyway, the idea came because I was a sales manager out there looking for a solution like this to motivate my team. I know that we all know salespeople are competitive, so we just kind of whipped it together as a side project, and it immediately took hold. And it got to the point where we said, all right, this shouldn't be a little side project anymore. We should launch it as its own company, which we officially did about 15 months ago. We raised some venture capital, and we've just seen explosive growth since then.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. And how old is the company? How many people do you have in the company?
We've got 16 people in the company now.
16.
And we had 5 people at the beginning of 2013.
Wow! So you guys are moving fast.
Yep.
So I'm assuming you attend and are involved in the Dreamforce events.
Yeah, definitely. I've been attending this event for the last 5 years. We were there this past year. We were there the year before. Was really our launch year. And this year was great. Kevin, we had met originally at that event, and it just every year keeps getting bigger and bigger. What's interesting is this whole topic of gamification, which is the category that we would kind of best be aligned to by a lot of people's decision. But there's just this past year, there were 25, 30 different sessions at Dreamforce just about how do I use gamification in my sales organization, and ourselves. We had our clients and ourselves speaking in over half of those sessions as kind of thought leaders on what is this new category, what's it all about, and of course, is it even working?
Hey, you're a Michigan company. Did you know that?
Yes, we were headquartered in downtown Detroit.
Yeah, now I remember. Yeah, you were with the E-Price, and I got to interview you, and we chatted. And I think if you recall, I grew up about a mile and a half at the most, maybe even less than that, from E-Price's headquarters.
From where E-Price was,
yeah,
right. So that was the company I was referring to. I had set up Salesforce there, and then kind of hashed this idea there, and then that's what we did. We started it there, and then kind of ultimately spun it out so it to be its own separate company. But that's exactly where it started.
10 Mile and Hilton.
There you go.
That's where I grew up. Yep, which isn't very safe because Hilton's a very busy street. But let me ask you. So, how long was this in the cooking, if you will?
How long was this in the what?
In the making.
Oh, I see. So, it's kind of as soon as I implemented Salesforce, the idea just kind of came to me, but I kind of just ruminated on it for a little while. Maybe 6 months. It wasn't a long time. And then eventually got to the point I just started talking with our CEO, the CEO at ePrize, Matt Wise, and he kind of said, you know what, this is a great idea. The timing is really excellent here. We've got some engineers that, we're defining the company's roadmap. Why don't you just use these folks for a few months and see what you can pull together? So, the idea sat around for maybe 6 months, and then we took about 3 months to build the initial version of it, which is when we initially launched the product. And then we started, our first customer came on board 2 weeks later. We just kept adding more and more, like Comcast, the Detroit Pistons, and Concur. And so that initial traction, was, again, just kind of proving it out. As I said, it was like a side project because I had other responsibilities. But then, it just kind of, then we knew, all right, this is done ruminating here. This is clearly a business by itself. So it was about a year in that regard.
So, are you? What is your relationship, or the company's relationship with ePrize?
So ePrize has a small equity position in the company.
Very cool. That's always nice.
So, and I'm very close with the folks over there, so we remain kind of we have a really good relationship. But they're have an equity position, so they're very interested in how we're doing. Never burn bridges, is what I always say. Yeah. Yeah. So if you are, at least be selective. So where did you grow up in? You grew up in Michigan, didn't you? I did. I was born here. My family's all from here. I actually grew up in Orchard Park, New York, outside of Buffalo. So I was there doing grade school and high school, but we always came back to Michigan for family and everything, and eventually moved back here, and this has been home for me for a long time. Yeah, very cool. Well, I always like to hear good stories about Michigan. Frankly, I got to tell you, you got not to get overly political, but you got a really good state government right now. In fact, you got one of the best state governments in the Midwest right now, and Michigan is quickly becoming a success story. Yeah, it's really fun to see the change. I mean, there's obviously Detroit gets a bad rap, rightfully so in some ways, but I mean, it's really turning around, and I can tell you, like, being downtown is so exciting. I mean, it's for anyone that wants to build, to be part of a startup, you're excited about the idea of building and creating something. And so when we're in downtown, where there's a lot of a new tech scene evolving, like General Motors is doing great, you got more and more companies moving into the core of the city. You just add this whole other layer of as that we're also playing a part in helping get Detroit back on the map. Yeah. So that extra kind of causal element has been excellent for us, and people love the story, and people all over the country they're pulling for us. So that gives us that extra little nudge that I think people really like. Well, what's interesting is that Michigan was ranked in the bottom 5 for competitiveness until about last year. It went from the bottom 5 to the top 25, which I think is extraordinary in a 2 or 3 year time span. And I have to attribute that to the state government. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the right things are happening to kind of get some momentum going here. You've also got some business leaders in the area, particularly downtown, that are really doing anything they can to spur innovation and get some of these businesses going and build up this core in the middle of the city that is creating that attention and momentum. So it's really exciting to be part of it. Well, Bob, it's always good to touch base with you. We need to do it more often. Bob Marsh, he's with a company called Level 11. That's LEVELEVEN.com. What the goal is simple. Is you want to get the most out of your employees. You want happy, high-performing employees. Level 11 helps you leverage Salesforce.com to do just that. Thanks so much, Bob. Thanks, Kevin. All right. When we come back tomorrow, rather Monday, much more for you. I hope you have a great weekend. Between now and then, make sure you check us out at usdailyreview.com. While there, like it on Facebook, follow it on Twitter. Have a great day and spend it right here.